cheers. Welcome in to the Super Bowl 57 bound Philadelphia Eagles. I am the Crypto Bull God. As I drip my drink on me. And in today's video, we're going to discuss the ass clown Gary Gensler. That's what we're going to discuss today. We're not going to get into too heavy a conversation right away. I want to keep things light in the beginning. If you appreciate the content, make sure to give a thumbs up to the video. Make sure to drop me a comment. A few specific things actually in this video I'm going to ask you to comment on. I ask you to drop a comment. I'm going to be really good about checking the comments on this video, so make sure that you engage if you have any thoughts based on the questions I'm asking. Subscribe to the channel. Click the bell icon for notifications so that you know when I'm live streaming like right now. Now, I know, guys, it is 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. I know this isn't the best. I have found that an earlier time on the East Coast to live stream doesn't work best for everyone. I have found live streaming later in the evenings works better, but this is the time I'm available, so this is the time I'm live streaming. I hope everybody's having a good week. I am getting amped up for the Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles right now are favorites in that Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it's going to be a very, very tight game. I think it's a very tight game. I think my view of the game, I am biased, obviously, because I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, but my view of the game is, if you're going position by position, Chiefs have an obvious edge at quarterback. They have an obvious edge at head coach. They have an edge at tight end. But when you start going beyond those three positions, the Eagles are the better team. Now, one could argue, well, CBG, if you're saying that the Chiefs have the edge at the two arguably most important positions, head coach and quarterback, that's a huge edge in the Super Bowl. And I would say, yeah, that is a huge edge. But the entire rest of the team on the Eagles is better than the Chiefs, in my opinion. So I think all in all, the Eagles are a more well-rounded team. I also feel like a lot of people do not give Jalen Hurts the credit that he deserves for being the leader on that team and going out and performing at a high level. So I am calling, I believe my call was 34-27. So I think the Philadelphia Eagles will win 34-27. We'll have to see what happens. But I'm extremely excited about the Super Bowl. I don't really have any big plans for the Super Bowl. I'm just going to be at my place watching the game. Gonna make some wings. Gonna make a cauliflower pizza. Just have some food, drinks. I'm one of those people. Like, I don't know about you, but like if I'm watching a sporting event that I'm really into. Case in point, it's a great time to be alive as a Philadelphia sports fan. Case in point, when the Phillies were in the World Series, even when they were in the playoffs, the Eagles are in the playoffs, even if it's a serious game during the season, now the Super Bowl, I want to be at home watching the game. And if I have anyone over, it's maybe like my significant other, like one person, or like a best friend that's going to actually watch the game with me. But I don't want to be sitting in a room with 6 other people watching the game. There's too much chitter chatter. Like, I want to sit there, I want to watch the game and really get into the game. So I am definitely looking forward to the game coming up here. Something else to keep on the horizon, I think by next week, I don't know if I'll be able to swing it next week. We'll have to see. If I do, it'll be next Friday. Okay. Either next Friday or definitely the following week, I'm going to have a little bit of a minor announcement. Not too major of an announcement, but minor announcement for the channel. I just had some thoughts in terms of some ways I might retool the channel. Also, some things going on in my personal life that are kind of for a little bit until I adjust. It's going to impact some of the content coming out, so I'm just going to make you guys aware of that. But some news to follow next week. So I am curious, for the first set of comments in the comment bar, non-crypto related, before we get into a heated discussion here, who are you picking in the Super Bowl and why? Not just who are you picking, but who are you picking in the Super Bowl and why? And if you're willing to give a score prediction, that would be awesome too. Let me know if you're picking the Eagles or the Chiefs. But trying to think anything else really going on today. Kind of the only thing else I wanted to share with you kind of going on with me is I'm also curious if you're willing to comment. Again, this is non-crypto related. I was telling one of my buddies at the gym this week earlier, I tend to be like a really big, deep thinker. And sometimes that actually, it's very beneficial in many ways. I'm very serious about the decisions I make. There's intent behind it, and I really think things through. I do have a tendency sometimes to overthink things, but I tend to be a very big, a deep thinker. And so one of the things I've been really spending a lot of time this week thinking about, and it's been on my mind from time to time, is just kind of assessing where I'm at in my career. And, what I want for myself moving forward from a career perspective. And again, curious to hear anybody's thoughts if you're going through the same thing. But, I've been, if you guys have been here for a while, I'm a career actuary. I'm an FSA, a fellow of the Society of Actuaries. I work in the life insurance industry. I've been pricing actuary for a very long time. And, something I've spent a lot of time thinking about is, how neat it might be to do the actuary thing for maybe 20 or 25 years and then go off and do something totally different, change careers, and there's a lot to consider when doing that. But, something that I've become more self-aware of, that I've kind of picked up on from people, is I find the more, and it also has to do the more I'm willing to get out of my shell and just, spend 5 seconds talking to somebody in the gym. I've noticed I've gotten a lot. I feel like I don't know if I'm just more self-aware of it or it actually has been increasing, but I've got a lot of really, really nice compliments surrounding motivation, being in the gym and helping to motivate people, whether it's being positive in some way to help inspire someone, or literally just the work I put in the gym that it helps to inspire somebody else. I mean, I feel like literally every single week somebody is saying something to me about this. And it's really made me take a step back and ask myself, am I doing what I should be doing in life? Are there other things I could be pursuing to help other people out in ways that I might feel more fulfilled than I do today? I do love my career. I enjoy what I do, but I'm kind of, asking myself that question: is there something more or different that I could be doing today that might make me personally feel more fulfilled, and also provide an avenue or opportunity to help others, right? So one of the things that I've shared with you guys is that doing this channel for me, no matter how look, I would love, and I do have aspirations for this channel to get a lot bigger than what it is. I have just about 2,200 subscribers, right? But the realities of life right now are that I can only dedicate so much time to this channel. I really don't have the time to put out videos every day. I don't. And so I do have some goals for this channel for this year. I want to see it grow. It'd be nice if I could get to the point of monetization. If actually my videos, if they were monetized, I think that would be pretty cool. I'm almost there. I'm not quite there, but almost there. But this channel for me is an awesome outlet for me because, one, I'm educating, I'm hopefully, if you're here, you find it helpful, I'm helping to educate others on cryptocurrency, chart analysis, whatever the case is. And so it's something I'm passionate about, and I love talking about it, and it brings me energy, and I genuinely love coming on here and doing live streams and TA videos. But it also sort of fills that void of teaching. I've always been a teacher at heart. I love to, whether it's at work being in a leadership position or whether it's the ability to get up and explain things to others, it's something I've always enjoyed doing. This provides me that outlet for it, right? So I've just been spending a lot of time looking at my life and trying to figure out, what I ultimately want for myself moving forward and how that might look a lot different than it is today. So I'm curious, for anyone who is willing to share, I'm curious, have you ever gone through something like that? Are you going through it right now and you're giving a lot of thought to that? I know it's something, excuse me, I know it's something that's pretty personal, but I'd be curious just to hear others' thoughts if you've kind of been going through that thought process at any point, or if anyone has any thoughts. I mean, hey, if you can do it, if you can swing it, you want to make it happen. How neat! I think this would be so cool. How neat would it be? I need to reply to a comment in 1 second here. It's very good to see this individual join the live stream. Hey, motherfucker, hit that thumbs up button. You see this? You see this, motherfucker? All right, hit that thumbs up button. Good to see you. Good to see you. I'll get to your comment in a second. I don't know. I lost my train of thought now because I'm surprised this person has showed up. I haven't not seen this fellow supporter in a long time. I don't know where the hell I was going with that. Oh, I know where I was going with that. I think, and then we'll move on. I think that it's a neat idea, that one half of your life, you have a career in one space, and that defines in many ways who you are as a person. But then you transition to something different. So for me, whether I became a full-time YouTuber, and this is what I did, and I did crypto education, and I attended seminars, and I did chart analysis, and I got credentials with charting, whatever the case is, or I got credentialed in some way with physical fitness, and I was helping to train others. I opened a fitness facility, and I was helping to educate others. Whatever the case is, redefining your life in that way, to me, it's an exciting thought. I just, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about that, because as much as I love my career, I can ultimately see myself doing something very different at some point down the road here in the not too distant future. So we'll have to see. But let me get to the comments now, and then we're going to get into some fun crypto news. There was some exciting news that came out today from a jackass who's in charge. He has. You have to look this up. Look up what little man syndrome is. There's a term, little man syndrome. I'm wondering if Gary Gensler has little man syndrome. I don't know if he's like 5'4" or 5'3", but look it up. Rich, aka BCK, Coinbase is not affected. 21%. They probably were using the money in other ways, affect like a fund. We'll get into that, Rich. Chris, Mr. Christopher Daly, it is nice to see you here. Gensler Generals. Yes. Attention, sir. Thank you for serving and protecting us. We appreciate it. Fuck you, Gary Gensler. All right, let's get into the news, because I am about as heated internally. Gensler Generals. Attention, sir! Gary Gensler! Thank you for protecting us. This is about, internally, the way I feel right now is about as heated as I have felt about any cryptocurrency news event in recent times. Of course, we had Luna, okay, we had Celsius, we had the FTX debacle, whatever the fuck happened there. I mean, well, we all know what happened there, but wow, But the continuing regulation by enforcement by a person who is in charge. Now, you have to understand, Gary Gensler's role is to serve and protect. Really, at the end of the day, his responsibility and the way he's serving us as a governmental official, he's supposed to oversee the landscape of securities and the financial industry to make sure there isn't anything corrupt going on and things are regulated in a fair and protective manner, right? And he also obviously shouldn't be doing things to outright stifle innovation. We'll leave it at that, to stifle innovation. So yesterday there was a tweet put out by Brian Armstrong. You know, Brian Armstrong. He is the CEO of Coinbase. By the way, I don't see many thumbs up. Thumbs up, everybody. I don't have John here to regulate. So yesterday, Brian Armstrong said, "We're hearing rumors that the SEC would like to get rid of crypto staking in the U.S. for retail customers." Of course, I'm reading this yesterday and thinking, why the hell is the SEC going after crypto staking? Like, this makes no sense to me. Okay, well, let's just keep reading. "I hope that's not the case, as I believe it would be a terrible path for the U.S. if that was allowed to happen. Staking is a really important innovation in crypto. It allows users to participate directly in running open crypto networks. Staking brings many positive improvements to the space, including scalability, security, and reduced carbon footprint." So the idea in general, and you guys can get on Google and you can look at all the intricacies of what staking is, but the general idea is you're delegating your tokens, your crypto tokens. Let's take Matic, for example, because I do stake. I stake Matic, okay? So you're taking your Matic tokens and you're delegating it to the network. And as a positive consequence of you staking it to the network, it increases the security of the network. It increases scalability, okay? It helps to validate transactions, okay? And as a reward, okay, a positive consequence of that, you actually receive what are called staking rewards. You receive additional tokens, okay? That's in general what is going on, right? So why in the hell would the SEC be concerned with staking and coming at any organization who's providing staking? I mean, this isn't making any sense, right? It doesn't. How could staking be a security? Well, let's get further into this. Staking is not a security. Here's a good primer. So I did open this up here. This is I did not go through the whole thing here. Brian does provide a link here that I would offer you to take a look at. I've read about a third of it. Gets a little technical, but I think it's well written. And I think it does a good job of defending why, in this case for Ethereum, staking does not meet the qualifications for the Howey test. Now, the Howey test that you're probably all familiar from the Ripple lawsuit is the test. I believe it's a three-pronged test. I believe it's a three-pronged test off the top of my head. So the Howey test is that test whereby if the said supposed potential security meets all three of the criteria, it does in essence qualify as a security. But if it fails any one of the three tests, it doesn't qualify as a security, okay? So this goes through and basically invalidates Ethereum as a security, and it provides solid rationale for why, okay? Okay, let's continue to go on here. We need to make sure that the technologies are encouraged to grow in the U.S. and not stifled. I had spoken to that earlier by a lack of clear rules when it comes to financial services and Web3. It's a matter of national security that these capabilities be built out in the U.S. Let's take a moment to digest that statement or those statements, that tweet. So essentially what he's saying here is this is the same thing that you hear from Brad Garlinghouse over at Ripple. It's the same thing that you hear from other prominent good players in the space that are genuinely attempting to proceed forward with technological innovations within the crypto space and want to make sure. They're good, faithful actors. They're good people who want to fall under the regulated umbrella. They don't want to fall out of there's a circle. There's a circle. Whatever the circle is the regulation. They want to stay in that circle, right? And they've engaged with the SEC to attempt to understand what's defined in that circle, so I'm not falling outside of bounds, right? And the SEC has been very vague. They've been very dismissive. They've been very hard to get answers from, very contradictory, saying that Ethereum was not a security and now it is a security. If you're not familiar with what I'm speaking to, Google that one. Ethereum was declared not a security many years ago. Now this year, I forget who it was, someone was declaring it as a security and only leaving it open-ended that Bitcoin might not be a security or isn't a security, it's a commodity. So it's very unfortunate and it's very deceiving and disingenuous that, and we'll get to Gary Gensler in a second here, of what he put up on his Twitter account, which was absolutely absurd, and I'll explain why I feel that way. But it is crazy to me that someone with that much authority comes out and makes statements to say, all you have to do is knock on our door and we're here. Good players like Ripple, okay, they have been doing that. They've been trying to get the clarity, and the SEC has not provided the clarity. And again, the unfortunate thing is for you and I, okay, if you're watching this video right now, you are in such a small niche, okay? You are part of the 1%. 99% of people don't know what the fuck is going on, quite frankly. They don't have the time. Quite honestly, I had conversations with my boss at work, joking about things that I work, and I think I've said this on this channel, I work with brilliant people who are more intelligent than me. We're all intelligent to be doing what we're doing. We can't not be intelligent to be doing what we're doing. But the point is I work with people who are more gifted and more intellectual than me, okay? These people don't understand crypto. And that blows my mind. But in reality, they have the intellectual capability to understand it, and probably understand it even more than I do, okay? They're very intellectually gifted. They just don't have the time to devote to it, or they don't make the time to devote to it, right? So there's a whole, that's 99% of the population. So when Gary Gensler comes out here and he has a microphone, okay? It's not always the person with the loudest microphone, but unfortunately he is the person in power. So he has a voice. So he has the capability to come out and send a message to people and poo-poo things and make things sound like the entire crypto industry is basically tarnished because of the FTX incident. And now he's here to protect everyone, right? And unfortunately, because people aren't educated, they gravitate and believe that sort of things. Well, yeah, he's the SEC chairman. He's just doing his job, and you know, he's just doing what needs to be done. And you know, you have somebody like, you know, Brad Garlinghouse, who doesn't have that voice, doesn't have that microphone. And people that don't really know what's going on and don't follow this industry closely wouldn't even hear what Brad has to say, or wouldn't hold any weight to it. Who the hell is Brad Garlinghouse, and why do I care what he has to say? So, thumbs up button, everybody. I see it. Thank you for everyone new tuning in. Let me know, by the way, this is a happy hour. Let me know what drink you're having. Oh, I don't think I shared with you. I am having a Beefeater gin, a little bit of lime, fresh lime, and some lime bubbly, so essentially club soda. Funny story real quick before we get back to this tweet. Every time now I have a Beefeater specifically, there's always a thought that goes through my head. 30th birthday. So I'm proud to say there aren't many times that I've gotten sick in my life from drinking. But actually there were 2 times. One was, not 2 times in total, but twice off of gin. But the Beefeater always makes me think of my 30th birthday. I had a great 30th birthday, but it was a rough night. I had someone drive my car home, and definitely had to pull over to the side of the road a couple times for me. So that's what I was just thinking of. But anyway, let's get back to crypto. So that takes care of what he means here. And as far as him saying, as far as Brian here indicating that it's a matter of national security, guys, please understand that just high level, okay? If the United States is going to lag behind in regulation and stifle innovation, companies will continue to go overseas. The technology will grow, and we'll get into this. We'll get in specifically to what Brad said today. I have it open. We're going to get into it. If this continues to happen, these companies are going to go overseas, and they're going to continue to grow and prosper overseas, okay? And the United States is going to fall very far behind technologically. Now, do I think ultimately that's going to happen? No. I feel like all of this it really is smoke and mirrors. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think that the United States and the people who are ultimately making the decisions that they're making could be this ignorant and this stupid, this foolhardy. I can't believe that they're this dumb. There has to be there has to be a definitive understanding of what's going on, and I feel like Gary's just throwing his weight around to make a name for himself, but ultimately there's nothing that's going to happen that will ultimately stifle innovation to the point where the United States will lag very far behind. I feel like everybody's doing what they're doing in charge to keep a lot of people who are in charge happy, such as the banks, okay? Think about staking for a moment. If I let's talk about what I do personally. Gensler Guzzler. That's interesting. You're having a Gensler Guzzler. Interesting. Explain what that drink is. If I use Binance US. Binance US is my preferred exchange, okay, for buying and selling. And I also use Binance US for staking purposes. I am not self-custodying my projects that I want to stake. If I want to stake, I actually have it on, in this case, Binance US, and I'm staking it. So 2 projects that I am staking, one is Harmony One, and one is Polygon Matic, okay? And if I'm offering, I don't know what I don't have my phone on me. I don't know what the APY is right now, the annual percentage yield. But I believe the last time I checked it was around somewhere between 7 to 10%. So if what I can do is, think about this for a moment. If I can take my assets, okay, and I can put them aside to delegate to a network, and I'm getting a guaranteed interest rate annual between 7 to 10% in the form of staking rewards, and I deem that asset to be something that's going to massively appreciate in value over time, why the hell would I want to give my money over to a bank? 8%. Thank you for the spot check. Why the hell would I want to give my money to a bank to potentially earn a yield, if it's in a savings account, earn a yield of 0.1%, or to put it in some sort of fucking money market account that's going to get me like 3 or 4%? Why would I want to do that? Inflation is as high as it's ever been, right? And that's just reported inflation, CPI. Okay, that's not real world inflation. Why would I want to do that? Staking, okay, staking is also a form of competition for financial institutions. And the financial institutions, the big boys, okay, like JP Morgan, who have a say in things, and if they have a little sway, you don't think that JP Morgan might in some way have some sort of influence over Gary Gensler? You don't think any of those financial institutions don't have conversations with Gary Gensler and have any sway? Are you kidding me? I don't feel like I'm being a conspiracy theorist. It makes all too much sense to me that wouldn't be happening behind closed doors. Let's get back into the tweet. Blue Chimey Grande Reserve. Oh, that sounds very fancy. It sounds very fancy. A reserve. Is that a wine, or what the hell is that? Let's get back into the tweet. Regulation by enforcement doesn't work. This is a term we've used very commonly. It encourages companies to operate offshores, which is what happened with FTX. That's exactly what I just spoke to. Hopefully, we can work together to publish clear rules for the... And this part right here, hopefully we can work together to publish clear rules for the industry. If Gary Gensler was doing what he said, wouldn't a regulated United States exchange that is actively traded on the stock market, that has to release public information on its assets and liabilities, its balance sheet, wouldn't this exchange acknowledge that Gary Gensler is doing just this? What is implied in Brian's statement is that the SEC is not being clear about regulation. And that's their sole responsibility to us, to serve and protect us through regulatory matters. They're not being clear. And come up with sensible solutions that protect consumers while preserving innovation. That's literally just what I spoke to at the beginning of the podcast, or of the video. And national security interests in the U.S. You know, this, before we get back to, and this is an article here on Barron's. Coinbase CEO warns of staking crackdown. The stock is tumbling. As you can see here, okay, crypto exchange Kraken is under security for sale of unregistered securities. This was yesterday. Today, this was the news that was just reported a couple hours before going live today. Kraken agreed to shutter crypto staking operations to settle SEC charges. All right. I don't believe in coincidences in life. I don't. The older I have gotten, I really do believe, and I used to not think this way when I was in my 20s, but I really do believe things do happen for a reason. I do. Whether you believe in a higher power or you don't, okay? But, John, good to see you here, brother. The enforcement. And I see that Chris is having a Belgian beer. I will need to check that out. Smash those likes, or John's coming for you. I'm going to have to check out the Belgian beer because, I like Belgian beers. I think I've told you guys that. I don't believe in coincidences in life. I do think that things happen for a reason. Not going to get all spiritual. But the point of me making that comment is I don't find it coincidental that in the midst of everything that has been going on in my travels up to northern Florida to see the crypto bull goddess, I met a new friend, met someone, and he was wearing an exchange T-shirt. Some sort of, I'm not going to go into details here. He's wearing an exchange T-shirt. As soon as I saw him wearing a crypto exchange T-shirt, I was like, shit, you're into crypto? So that started up all the conversation, and we've hung out a couple times. Lo and behold, this guy used to work for an exchange. Okay, he used to work for an exchange. And the long and short of what he told me, and, obviously it's a confidential conversation, right? So I'm not going to give any specifics. So I'm going to keep things very general. Is essentially he was in meetings with regulatory authorities, including Gary Gensler, okay? And they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They would ask questions and ask for follow-ups for this exchange to provide items that didn't make any sense to what they were talking about. They would ask questions that were just nonsensical. It was very, very disheartening hearing that because the people who are in charge of making the regulation don't know what the fuck is going on, clearly, okay? You see this. This is a smaller exchange. Kraken is, it's not small, but it's a smaller exchange, okay? Now they've agreed to a settlement, I think $30 million. They agreed to around a $30 million settlement, and they're not going to provide staking anymore. Now, to Rich's comment, obviously it's speculation if they're guaranteeing 20%. Were they using money in any other ways besides staking? Okay, Rich made that comment back here. Obviously, we don't know that. That would be speculation. But what Gary is doing, and we're going to get to his reply. What do you mean, Chris? Was it Gensler? What do you mean by that? Did I meet up with Gensler? No, I definitely didn't meet up with Gary Gensler. I want everyone just to take a moment to listen to this with me, okay? Thumbs up for everybody new joining. Take a moment to listen very carefully to this. I might pause it at different points, but I've listened to this 3 times. This will be the 4th time I've listened to it. I really want you to think about what are your takeaways from Gary Gensler's message that came out right immediately after the news today that Kraken was shutting down staking and they were being fined.
What does stake
and that essentially what Gary is saying here is that in this case within an exchange, staking is qualifying as securities. Check out the thumbnail in the video, okay? Crypto staking qualifies as securities. I really want you to think about that.
With our securities laws. That's S-T-A-K-E, not S-T-E-A-K.
He's got some great humor. I love how he's trying to interject humor here. This looks like a fucking joke.
In the crypto markets, there are various ways to validate data stored on crypto ledgers, called blockchains. And one of these ways is called staking. Investors lock up their tokens in escrow and help validate the next block of data. Some stakers are then rewarded with new tokens. Staking, though, can be complicated and time-consuming and can take big upfront commitments of token.
So right there, what he's stating is he's making the argument. I want you to recognize what's implicit in that statement. What he's attempting to do is he's attempting to communicate to the audience that this stuff is really complicated, and I don't think you really understand this stuff. Like, we're here to protect you. Like, this stuff is really complicated, okay? Super complicated, okay? We're here to serve and protect.
There's also the risk that you won't get new tokens even if you stake.
Yeah, so he's communicating a risk to you. It's too complicated for you to understand.
Thus, crypto entrepreneurs started offering what's called staking as a service. No, not like the steakhouse. Basically, if you transfer your tokens to a staking as a service provider, they take control, possibly pooling your tokens with thousands or millions of others while promoting returns. But here's the rub. When a company or platform offers you these kinds of returns, whether they call their services lending, earn, rewards, APY, or staking, that relationship should come with the protections of the federal securities law.
So the argument that he's making is because you are staking with an exchange and they are guaranteeing you an annual rate of return, that transaction should be regulated by securities laws. That's what he is arguing here.
That means you, the investor, should receive important disclosures. For example, what do they actually do with your tokens?
Which can be validated on the network.
Are they lending, borrowing, or trading with them? Are they commingling them with their other businesses? Where do the rewards come from? Are you getting your fair share?
Now, I love that. Are you getting your fair share? He's attempting to come across in a way here that is your shining knight in armor here, right on.
Crypto protocols genuinely creating value on your investment, or are they just?
Okay, so here his argument is: are these new tokens that are just being generated to dilute your worth of investment in what you hold? And
new tokens that dilute the value of ones you already have. Remember, if you have a stake, that's S-T-E-A-K. If you have a stake meant for 2 and cut it into 3 pieces, it's still the same amount of stake. Unfortunately, because these staking as a service providers generally are not providing proper disclosures, there's currently no reliable way as an investor to know the answers to these important investment questions. Plus, when you sign on the dotted line or accept the terms of service,
listen to this.
You are generally agreeing that placing your tokens with these
Wait for
providers
it.
may mean transferring your ownership to them. There's an expression in crypto: not your keys, not your crypto. You see, you're basically an investor in their platform. If it goes under, and we've seen plenty of that recently, you end up in line in the back.
Okay, so what he's attempting to do here, even though he's been under fire, massive fire, for allowing the FTX debacle to occur, okay, and FTX went overseas, offshores, to run its business, to escape U.S. regulation, and Gary Gensler has been shown to have close ties to SBF and FTX. Again, people aren't privy to this information. What he's attempting to do is he's attempting to shine light on the devastation of FTX and say, we don't want that to happen again, so I'm going after Kraken. I'm here to serve and protect you. I'm your white knight in shining armor.
Bankruptcy court. That's why it's so important that these companies and platforms comply with the securities law. After all, the securities laws, regardless of what you think of stake or staking.
Yeah, that's the end. So he goes on to make another corny joke, and I find it disturbing that an event that has the ramifications potentially that it has that he's making light of this. Like, this guy must just be completely fucking clueless on how many people he's impacting by making these decisions. So let me just say a few quick things before we get into Brad's comments. By the way, thank you for everyone new tuning in. We're here for a happy hour. Make sure you pull up a drink. Make sure you let me know what you're having to drink. Share a comment and hit the thumbs up button. Few comments on this. The first thing is, at some point, okay, at some point, if this guy is overstepping and clearly using regulation by enforcement versus engaging with the organizations and taking a true, honest look at the technology and trying to come up with sensible ways that protect consumers and doesn't stifle innovation and doesn't hurt the retail, because this shit hurts retail at the end of the day. If he's not taking that approach, there has to be someone that's going to step up and fight this guy. Kraken is not a big enough exchange to put up a fight against this. You know, Brian Armstrong came out and tweeted what he tweeted. It's going to be very interesting to see. I will say this, and I'm looking at you, Coinbase, and I'm looking at you, Binance US, and any other major US exchange that offers staking. I am going to be very curious if these exchanges take a stand against Gary Gensler and fight this, and don't simply bow down and pay a securities violation penalty and cut out staking. Because I will tell you, if these more prominent players in Coinbase and Binance US bend over and take it up the ass, what they're essentially admitting to, this ass clown is correct. And just because an exchange is the one offering the staking, the basic premises of staking still reside. Staking is staking, whether you're doing through an exchange or self-custodying it, which was my next point I wanted to make. You're still staking at the end of the day. If this ass clown doesn't understand it, I am really hopeful that the more major exchanges in Coinbase and Binance US take a stand against somebody like this. The more we continue to just take a step back and take a step back and take a step back. First, you can see the short shorts I'm wearing. But the more we continue to take a step back and allow them to run over us, they're just pushing us back and pushing us back. We need to stand up. We need to stand up, all right? There needs to be sensible regulation that doesn't stifle innovation. How hard is that to understand? And again, the only way any of this makes sense to me is that there are bigger players influencing this guy. Okay? The financial institutions, the banks, the people who have a lot to lose via the forms of innovative financial technology that has come about because of crypto. They are fighting us right now. If you read the description in the video, what is the... Oh, shit, now I forget it. It's the... first they laugh at us. First they ignore us, then they laugh at us, then they fight us. That's the stage we're in right now. They are fighting us. Then we win, okay? And that was oh, God, why can't I remember his name? Gandhi said that, okay? We are in the stage right now where the SEC and many others are fighting us right now. Whether others want to recognize, acknowledge it, believe it or what, the forms of technology that originally came about because of Bitcoin. Guys, I don't want you to forget at the root of why you came into this space, okay? I'm willing to bet that for most of you, the reason that you got into this space was similar to myself. I had a deep appreciation and love for Bitcoin, okay? It was, the more I began to read about it, the more I began to learn about it, it spoke to me as a mathematical person. A way to have peer-to-peer, removing the intermediary, fixed supply. Just everything about it was beautiful. And because of Bitcoin, whether you still love Bitcoin or you don't, you have to respect it. All these other various forms of innovative technology came about. Clearly, in any space, in any industry, there will always be bad actors. There will always, look at the housing market back in 2008. There will always be bad actors. There will always be bad seeds. Any company you work at, any industry you're in, there's always going to be bad actors. But at the heart of what's going on right now, there are some really good players in this space. Hedera Hashgraph, as an example, they have innovative technology that's here to benefit the United States and other countries. And people like this are harming that innovation. I hope the exchanges, I hope others in the space take a stand. Let me just say this before we get to Brad. First off, this regulation does not prevent your ability to self-custody your crypto and stake it. This regulation cannot stop the technology itself. This technology can harm the exchanges and harm the institutions to which crypto operates under and force them to go off seas and force others to go off seas. This could force some people who still want to use an exchange to go look towards an international exchange, use VPNs to get an account, and start using Binance International or whoever the hell they want to use, okay? Bitstamp or whoever they want to use. It will force individuals to do that. But you can't prevent me from taking my Harmony 1 tokens off of Binance US, self-custodying it, and just staking it myself on a validator, okay? So they can come at you all they want doing this stuff, but don't lose sight of the fact that they can't stop the technology itself, okay? And what I wanted to say about Brad Garlinghouse over at Ripple, and I'll get into the comments in a moment here. Thank you for the engagement. I appreciate it. Thumbs up, everybody. Whether you respect Ripple or not, look, Ripple, XRP, it's like you love it, you hate it sort of thing, right? And I'm not here to discuss that. What I am here to discuss is the fact that Ripple took a stand against the Securities and Exchange Commission about the bullshit lawsuit that hurt myself. Okay, I would call that a black swan event. It hurt myself and it hurt many other investors who were invested in XRP, okay? And I feel very positive they're going to win that lawsuit. And when and if that does happen this year, that is going to be a massive win for the entire crypto industry. They had the treasure chest, as it's been spoken to. They have the financial backing to be able to fight these fuckers in court. Okay? And no matter what you think about Brad, no matter what you think about Chris, all right, Larson, whatever you think about Ripple, whatever you think about XRP, when and if they win this lawsuit, you better fucking bow down to those motherfuckers. All right? Bow down to those motherfuckers. Because they took it. They fucking took it in the chest for every other fucker in this space. All right? The lawsuit that's been filed against Ripple is not just about Ripple. It's not just about the people's currency. It's about the whole industry in its entirety and the overstep that the SEC is taking here. One last thing I just thought of before we get to Brad's comments, because I thought he made some very timely comments. Real recently, before I went live, Brian stated something here. Hester Pierce, who everybody here is probably very familiar with, Crypto Mother. She tweeted something out I'll have to take a look at. She has some thoughts. But Brian commented and said, well said, there was no way to register a disingenuous offer. Using enforcement actions to tell people what the law is in an emerging industry is not an efficient or fair way of regulating. Let me say that. Using enforcement actions to tell people what the law is in an emerging industry is not an efficient way or fair way of regulating. She is saying what we were just talking about. The SEC is attempting to continually use, let me get some light here, continuing to use regulation by enforcement. They're not interested. Whatever their public statements are, I wish someone would hold these motherfuckers accountable. Whatever their goddamn statements are in public is not what they're doing behind closed doors. They're regulating by enforcement. They're not engaging with people. And it just pisses me off. It pisses me off that 99% of people out there have no fucking clue what's going on, and they just see this piece of shit article this video that's posted here of this guy joking about stakes and staking and making these. It's absurd. It's a joke. It's a goddamn joke, and it's for anybody who's paying attention and has any level of passion for this space and does research on this stuff. It should infuriate you that this fucking ass clown is in charge, making the rules that he's making and impacting organizations and people's lives like this that are really trying to innovate and change the way that we do business. Got a little heated. Sometimes it happens, but the beautiful thing is I can turn it down. I can turn it down a notch. You know, I just caught myself there. I was like, you know what, CBG, you're getting a little heated. Let's cool down. Before we get to Brad's comments, let me get to the comments in the comments field here. And then we're going to get to Brad's well-timed comments here on the Twitterverse. What do you got? What you got, everybody? What comments do you have for me? Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel. Click the bell icon for notifications if you like my passion. I agree with you. Chris is making a really good comment here and something I didn't even think about. Clearly, this was coming for some time. He didn't put that video together in a day, week, or even month. This has been in the works for some time. I completely agree. As soon as you said that, it resonated with me. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, very fair statement. Very good statement. And probably very accurate. He likes the attention. Yeah, John, look up little man syndrome. It's almost like he has little man syndrome. I don't know how tall he actually looks like a tall individual, but look up little man syndrome. And again, Chris makes another fair comment here, another good comment, which is that, yes, this is what I was speaking to. Gary Gensler had very close ties to Sam Bankman-Fried, SBF, the leader of FTX. Okay? You notice how, I want to say something else. Do you notice how all the stuff with FTX and SBF, it's kind of getting, it's not as much media attention right now, right? I wonder what's going to happen with that. Do you really think that SBF's going to serve any time in jail? Do you really think that's going to happen? There were the ties that were there and the close connection that they had, to think everything happened under his watch like that is absurd, that no one is raising hell about this. But again, it's not that people haven't called attention to this. It's that the people with the loudest microphones, the loudest ability to reach an audience haven't brought this to light. It's just very... You see this stuff going on as an educated person with common sense, and it's like, oh my God, how can this shit continue to go on like this? Okay, Bryce says, I agree with him. If you want to stake your coins, you should do it in your own non-custodial... No, wait. I agree with him. If you want to stake your coins, you should do it in your own non-custodial wallet. So what I would say is... you have the complete 100% ability. I have the ability to take all of my Harmony One tokens and self-stake them to a validator, and that's probably the route that we as U.S. citizens are ultimately going to have to do. Exchanges, we'll have to see what happens with the rest of U.S. exchanges, but we'll see. John, he knows what he is doing. He knows what he is doing. His twin brother worked for some bank, so he is trying to slow crypto down and make money for the suits. Wait, John, he has a twin brother that worked for banks or works for banks? I need to look that up, and I need to fact check you. I mean, I definitely take you for your word, but I'll still look it up. John's a longtime supporter. I didn't know he had a twin brother, and he either works or worked in the banking industry. That is very interesting. If that's true, that throws even more shadiness on this entire thing. I think he meant to say, Bryce, I think he meant to say in fairness. In fairness, he doesn't say anything bad about the centralized staking in a non-custodial wallet, which is how people should be doing it. He is pushing people to custody their own coins. I don't agree with you. I don't think he is pushing people to self-custody his coins. Look at what other statements he's made about other crypto projects, like all of them being securities. Okay? I think he's being disingenuous. If I think that you are, and I don't mean this to be offensive, Bryce, I don't. I'm being honest with you. I think you're being naive if you think the perspective he's coming from is, hey, look what happened to FTX. I'm just trying to make sure they're guaranteeing you 20%, right? They're guaranteeing you 20%. I want to make sure they're not doing shady things with that. So, they haven't provided disclosures. And, oh, by the way, we as the SEC have provided that guidance to exchanges. They should be providing disclosures. We've been very proactive with that. They haven't provided disclosures. This is really a securities offering, so they're getting fined and they can't do this anymore. I think you're being very naive if you believe that's the approach. In my opinion, I believe you're being naive if you think that's really what's going on here. Yes, XRP Ripple definitely should get some respect for the fight. It's not even XRP. XRP is always tied to Ripple, but it's Ripple, the company, the organization, should get a fuck ton of support and respect for what they've been doing. What's up, Brendan? Go to the top. Go to my YouTube page. Go to my YouTube page, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to YouTube. Let's go to my channel. Your channel. What do we got? Oh, I'm live. Look at that shit. Oh, I can't. Oh, it doesn't bring up. Really? Never mind. I was going to say, when you go to my YouTube channel, you can see there's a video, like a premiere video that I created there. I'm pretty proud of that video. I like that video, but it speaks to what Brendan's speaking to about there is definitely a war going on, and which side are you on? Robert Gensler. I'll look him up. Joe, your message is retracted. All right. I will look up Robert Gensler. I'll check him out. So, Brendan, this is a great transition because I'm just going to look at one chart. Oh, no, I didn't speak to Brad yet. Let me get to Brad. Brendan, let me get to your comment. But first, let's get to Brad's tweet. So, Brad Garlinghouse of Ripple, let's look at his very first tweet here, and it was a thread. Stepping back for a moment for what's happening in the U.S. just in the last few weeks, the number of positive, or at least headed in the direction of clarity in capital letters, global regulatory departments is energizing. Continuing its history of being tech forward, Dubai, and then he goes into all these countries. He goes into all these countries outside of the United States that are putting forth sensible regulations surrounding cryptocurrency that isn't stifling innovation, right? He finishes up, he concludes. The list goes on, Brazil's new legislative framework, etc. Note the commonalities. These regulators are providing leadership and doing the work that we are desperately missing in the U.S. Unsurprisingly, this is where companies like Ripple are growing. This was a very timely tweet because what Brad did, very strategic, what Brad did is he saw this motherfucker do this motherfucking video and do this motherfucking thing. All right, it's my word of the day. Okay? He saw this. He saw the harm that was being imposed upon the U.S. by, again, regulation by enforcement, all this nonsensical action. He said, let me take the opportunity to take a step back and share with everyone how it should be being done. Here's what's going on outside of the United States. And by the way, U.S. regulators, look, you continue doing what you want to do. You want to continue doing this shit. You want to continue making funny videos about stakes or staking. You continue doing that motherfucking stuff. All right? All of us real companies, we're going overseas. We got regulatory clarity. You want to be a motherfucker? See ya. Bye, Felicia. I'm out. All right? That's what Brad Garlinghouse is saying to Gary Gensler. Bye, Felicia. I'm going overseas. All right. So I thought this was a very well-timed, indirect response to the bullshit that took place today. Now, look, I know there's a lot of foul words coming out of my mouth today, but I apologize, don't apologize. I'm very passionate and upset about a lot of this shit. So, with that being said, let's get back to Brendan's comment. Perfect timing, a little bit of a pump, and the attack again. Now, I always say news is noise. Now, what do I mean by that comment? What I mean by that comment is that everything is baked into the charts, and that all of the news events, all of the human emotion, except black swan events, we can't account for that. But everything that should tell you what you can expect in the most and least likely direction for price, it's all baked into the charts, okay? So there are sometimes well-timed news events. It would not shock me one bit. It would not shock me one bit that as we're looking at the charts and we're waiting for a massive move up in crypto, there wasn't positive news about Ripple winning the lawsuit, right? And you're like, oh, the reason that the market's pumped was because of the Ripple lawsuit. Well, it's a great thing for the industry if Ripple wins, but the charts are telling us the market was due for a pump because of XYZ ABC, right? So it's interesting. When you take my perspective on things, it's interesting that news sort of correlates with what you're seeing in the charts. Guys, what are we seeing here on the Bitcoin chart? Again, I'm just going to cover the Bitcoin chart. That's all I'm covering. I'm not covering any other charts today, but I want to clearly share with you what I'm seeing in the charts, okay, in this chart. And I want to tell you if it's alarming to me, if it's expected, if it's unexpected, like what do I honestly see here? Because I mean, I'm always dead drop honest with you. And what I share with you is what I'm thinking for myself, okay? So let's get into it. This is a 12-hour chart. And the arrows here, if you follow me on Twitter at Crypto Bull God, feel like Mark Rubio in that video. You guys know that Mark Rubio video from like a few years ago? He was given a response to the Democratic speech or whatever. I think Obama was president at the time. And he's talking, he goes, and then he just continued talking. You guys got to look that up, Mark Rubio. It's the thing he's probably most famous for, infamous for. Anyway, hilarious video. It's so socially awkward. Anyway, what you have to understand, if you've been here for a long time, you guys know this. Bitcoin is the driver of all value. So goes Bitcoin, so goes the rest of the market, right? So we need to assess the relative health of Bitcoin to understand the relative health of the entire crypto markets, okay? This is the 12-hour chart. Why am I looking at a 12-hour chart? Because if you've been here for a while, and I need to get a video out to reaffirm this, there is a lot of historical significance in the 12-hour chart. There are a lot of things we can discern from this chart, okay? We have had a golden cross on the 12-hour chart, and more importantly, the 200 is curling up. This is extremely bullish. And what it has led me to conclude from studying this chart, it has led to a higher probability that even like the blue arrow denotes, even if we come down in this region and we wick below the 200 or even come under here for a candlestick or two, we have a very high likelihood of continuing upward, okay? So what this chart is telling us is, first off, there's nothing concerning going on. Yes, we have this red, thick candlestick here, right? Not good to see, right? Oh, you hate to see that. But the point is, we're still at the 50-day moving average. What this chart is indicating, we could come all the way down to here and consolidate at 18,000 or 19,000. I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay with that. The only point I would get concerned, let me actually just tell you this. I'm 100% okay with whatever plays out on this chart in price action. Let me tell you where it starts to get worrisome for me, which is not what I expect based on probabilities. I'm not expecting this, okay? If we start to get down here and we start getting several candle bodies closing below the 200, okay, and we're above 18,000, let's say we start to get a lot of candle body closes at around, we'll call it 18,300 at the moment, around 18,000, 18,300. A lot of closes here, and then we start going like this, lower lows and lower highs. Yeah, that's very concerning. But that would be very unexpected based on the laws of probabilities and what we've seen in the past on the 12-hour chart. So what I'm saying directionally with these arrows, this one's out the door. We can negate this. This red arrow here, this one is gone. Okay, that's not happening. But this orange arrow could still happen. We could come down here to around 21,473, around 12,400, excuse me, not 12,000, 21,470, around there and bounce. Or we could come all the way down to around the 200 moving average. And again, the 200 moving average is sloping up. So this is going to continue moving up over time. So it might be, if we come down here, it might be at 19,000 by the time we come down here. But there's nothing alarming going on in the price, guys. Keep in mind, we were at very suppressed price levels. I had communicated to you on Twitter at Crypto Bull God not too long ago that prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Anytime you go back in history, okay, and we looked at this on a prior live stream, anytime you go back in history and you evaluate massive moves up in the crypto market, and let's just talk about Bitcoin for the moment, we can have 30-40% pullbacks. It's not uncommon. A 35% pullback in Bitcoin is expected. Think about it this way. Let me try to put this in layman's terms so that you can conceptually understand this from a common sense perspective. If you're, got something stuck in my teeth here, sorry. If you're expecting Bitcoin to outperform most asset classes, right, or crypto to outperform most asset classes, wouldn't you expect, question one, if you expect massive upside, right, you're expecting to go way up in value. Question one, wouldn't you expect a lot of volatility? That's my first question for you, a lot of volatility. Question two, if you're expecting it to go way up in value, wouldn't it be reasonable to assume it's not going to occur in a straight line? Question three, if there are large up movements, wouldn't you expect large down movements, which plays into question one about there being volatility? The point of those three questions is to make you think about what you should expect moving forward, okay? If we really think, let's go to a 3-day chart, okay? If we really think, let's actually go to a 1-week chart. Kind of zoom out here. If we really think that Bitcoin is destined to get up somewhere, I'll say, I forget what my price targets are, 120 to 135. If we expect it to get up here, wouldn't it be reasonable to assume, you know, we'd have a large move like this? We moved up, guys, we moved up from like 15,000 all the way up to like 24,000, all right? We moved up over 50%, so let's be patient. Wouldn't we expect something like this? You know, just the general movement is a large wave up, a large wave down, a large wave up, a huge move down, a huge wave up. You're not going to have, versus, this is not what you can reasonably expect common sense-wise. You're not going to get this, okay? We have to understand that we have to allow the charts to be our compass. It's like a compass. I love these analogies I come up with. We have to allow the charts to be the compass. We're using price indicators, we're using price action, we're using moving averages, we're using all these things to navigate us in the right direction and lead us to conclude what is most probable moving forward. It doesn't mean that if our most probable direction is massively up, it's not going to be a fucking straight line. It's going to have a lot of this shit, okay? And if it's very volatile and we're expecting mass appreciation in prices, then it would be reasonable to assume we're going to get large swings up and large swings down. So just be patient. No matter what the news is, don't lose the perspective of the charts. And again, guys, this is perfect. Keep in mind what I just said to you in my prior live stream on the weekly close. I just said to you we were going to get a daily golden cross, right? What did I say to you about the golden cross? I said to you that the golden cross did not imply that prices would shoot up in value. In fact, I would not be surprised one bit if we saw a moderate correction and then continue to move up. Look at what is happening right now. Okay? We get all this fucking excitement about a golden cross here, 50 crossing above the 200. It doesn't mean that prices are shooting up. Okay? It's very healthy. It's very normal, no matter what the news events are, to see a nice consolidation in this area and then continue up. Remember, stair steps. Higher highs, right? Higher lows. A higher low, we move up, a higher high, higher highs, okay? That's a hell of a drawing. Higher highs and higher lows, that's all it's about. I appreciate the engagement. I am going to sign off because I'm seeing what time it is. I have to make dinner, so I apologize. There's a few comments here I'm not getting to, but I have to sign off and get to dinner. So once again, hit the thumbs up button, guys. If you're watching this in syndication, if you're watching this on a replay, make sure you drop a comment on some of the questions I had asked you guys. I really would be curious, your engagement. In particular, some of the items I had talked to at the beginning of the live stream that had nothing to do with cryptocurrency. You know, we're here to talk about everything crypto, but especially on a happy hour, I mean, I'll talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about if it's not politics or religion. And I'm curious to hear everybody's thoughts. So, peace out, John. So, once again, I appreciate your support. I hope everybody has a nice evening, a nice morning, a nice night, wherever you're at. And until next time, spread awareness and carry the education forward. All right? Everybody take care of yourselves.